All right, this is going to be our clone stamp assignment. So we go to Photoshop. This should be the third assignment, or I guess fourth. Clone stamp fire hydrant. There's the assignment. So we're going to click that, and that is a link to a video that I would like you to watch by lynda.com. In addition, the high quality image is on that link, and it takes you to Google Photos. And this is the uncompressed image. You press those three dots, and you click Download All. It will go to your downloads, both in a Mac and a Windows environment. So there it is, in Downloads. And so instead of making a new file, I'm just going to open that particular file from my downloads. So it's come up here. So we can see on my layers panel, I've got the background, it's locked. All right, so I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to hit Control plus to zoom in. Anything that we do in Photoshop, you're going to be more precise when you zoom in. All right, and so making another fire hydrant would be easy, but getting rid of that fire hydrant, we have to find a pattern on the wall that's going to match. So I'm going to go to my clone stamp. There it is. And I have to press Option in a Mac environment in order to get my bullseye on there. But before I do that, I want to make sure that my brush size is the right size. If it's too big, it's going to copy more than I want. So I want it to be smaller than the object that I want to duplicate. All right, and now I'm going to hit the plus button at the bottom, and I'm going to make a layer called fire hydrant. So I've got a layer called background, and I've got a layer called fire hydrant. I want you to make sure that everything that you do not destroy that background layer. In Photoshop, we want to do as little of that as possible because it gives us maximum flexibility. And if we make a mistake, we can go backwards, where if you destroy it, you cannot. And so if we did everything on the background, it might look okay, but if we make a mistake, we'd be in trouble. So I've got my clone stamp, and I'm going back and forth here. And on Windows, I can't remember what it was to click. In a Mac environment, it's Option. And so I keep making a mistake here. As I'm talking right now, I can't remember. It might be Shift in a Windows environment. So I'm looking for the Option. So you can see that there's a little crosshair. And so I optioned on that part. And then when I press and hold after I option, I then copy what is on the right side over to the left. But if you notice, I am on the layer that is called fire hydrant. I am not on the background layer. All right. And so I think that I'm going to get rid of this. I don't love the way that's copied. So I zoom out. It looks okay, and to the untrained eye, that would be fine. I'm going to throw that in the garbage. I'm going to start again, and that's what's nice about making a new layer. So I'm going to click plus. There's my layer 1 again. Let's call this fire hydrant. Fire H. Hydrant can be tough to spell. And once again, I'm going to find a spot. In this part, I'm going to go on the left side of the door instead of the right side. That might be better. It's got some dark brick at the bottom that's going to help me out. I go by my clone stamp. I press Option. I got to be clicked on the bottom layer when I duplicate because there's nothing on the other layer. And so I'm going to Option right around there. Option, and then click with the left mouse. And then I go back. And now we can see where I'm bullseyeing because it has got the crosshairs, and so I'm copying that point. And so it's critical that you pick a spot that looks very close to the part that you want to get rid of. And so that's why I chose the bricks right beside it. And so now I'm going to go up and down. I think I'm a lot happier with this. So there's a little bit of red left. Let's see if I can get that. You can see that I could actually go again. The bricks don't perfectly line up, but the wall's a little bit rough, and so it's going to work out just fine. All right. Now, if I was to zoom out, it would actually be kind of difficult to see that fire hydrant was ever there. So that's Control minus. It looks good, actually. But I want to give that window a bit of a hard edge. So I'm actually going to Option on another part of the window. And I'm going to duplicate that sill, the window sill. So I duplicate. I got to go in the background, find it, hit Option and click. Then click on my fire hydrant layer, and you can see that I'm copying some of that sill over. All right. And obviously, the closer you are, the more precise you're going to be. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that it's precise. And then I want to do the right side or the right edge of that window. So I do another click on the background, click Option, click again, and then I want to duplicate that edge. Now we're staring at it closely, and so we can see the mistakes that I'm making. You can spend all kinds of time making this perfect. All right? And so really, I'm happy with getting rid of that fire hydrant now. All right, so I click that layer on and off. That's pretty good. If you do that, I'd be happy with that. All right, and so I want to do that no parking sign now. Gonna make a new layer. You could put it all in one layer, but it gives you more flexibility with the more layers, and so this is going to be the parking. All right, so I want to get rid of that parking sign over there to the left. Zoom in, Control plus to zoom in. Now I'm panning. All right. So I got a sample, press Option, click on a spot that I think will hide that up nicely, and then I go up to parking, and now that I've optioned, you can see the part that I'm copying from the background layer onto this layer. All right. So as I'm going up, you can see that it's getting copied. All right. And see, I've made a mistake there. I've actually sampled the sign. I was like, oh, I don't like that. So I just click on parking. I go to my eraser tool, and I'm going to get rid of part of that. That really cleaned it up nicely. And that's the advantage to using that other layer. All right. I erased too much. So I clicked layer on and off. Honestly, I'm really happy with that one. All right, check that fire hydrant again. There is the parking sign. Now I'm going to do the placards. To be honest, the placards are probably going to be the easiest. Third layer. Back down. Obviously, I have to sample. Press Option. Sample from a piece of brick or part of the wall that I think is going to duplicate nicely over the placard. So sample. Once again, I forget that I got to press Option. Can't remember the thing I have to click. Oh, I finally figured it out. No, I haven't. Still can't remember the Option key in Windows. Actually, now that I look at it, I think it's Alt. There we go. So I sample, then I go around. All right. I may have to resample here, go back. And because if I get too close to the sign, obviously I'm going to replicate the black from the bottom, and that's not what I want. I want to make sure that it's nothing but the gray wall. So you can resample someplace it's a little bit further to finish it off. That looks good. All right, turn it on and off. All right, we're going to do our last placard here. Go to the background, press Option to sample, then click up at my placard. Get rid of that. Once again, make sure that the brush size is appropriate. We can go up to the top there and change that at any time. If you got a large object, you probably want a larger one. And obviously, you're doing a small object, you want a small brush size. It's right up there at the top. I think it's 10 right now. All right, so turning these layers on and off. I want to examine the work that I've done. And if you want a really good mark, if you want to get 100, you can get rid of that car. It is difficult, but it has been done. But if you do the work that I wanted, and it looks kind of like I did, that's a level 4. So file save as, I want to make sure that you save it as a Photoshop file first. All right, there's the PSD. Give it an appropriate name. It's always good to make sure that you've got that PSD backed up, all right, in case you need to make a correction. And we're once again going to now go to File, Save As, and this time we're going to click that Photoshop, change it to JPEG, and this is the file that you're going to submit to me in the Dropbox. Make it maximum, click OK, so I should have a PSD and a JPEG. And now we're good. And now the computer's having some complications. All right, ask if you got any questions.